In this video, I'm going to talk about our new approach to tutoring that we're starting this summer and fall. One of the way that I started thinking about this is by asking this question: why does tutoring work less well than group classes? Realistically, tutoring should work better. You have a tutor's undivided attention. There's no other demands on the tutor's time, so theoretically, tutoring should always work better. And yet, in practice, group classes, even if it's the same number of hours, consistently outperform tutoring. And we've been trying a few different things, and we're going to be doing tutoring quite a bit differently from the way it's being done right now. The logistics are going to be that instead of a tutor being assigned, a student being assigned to one tutor, the student will have the option of working with different tutors. They can choose to only work with one tutor if they want to, but they would then, of course, have to work at that tutor's available times. So what's happening? Like, why does tutoring work so ineffectively, generally speaking? And it comes down to the strategic decision making that goes on. Imagine this. Imagine you are a student and you're working with a tutor, and your goal right now is to get the answer to the math problems on your math homework. And you know that the tutor, especially if it's a Vora method tutor, can probably do all the math problems in about 35 seconds. Or you could spend 12 hours learning how to do it. And what the unconscious, or sometimes even the conscious mind of the student comes up with is that maybe they could just try to spend 3 or 4 hours just wearing the tutor down, and at the end of that time the tutor will basically just give the student the answer. It's something that the student has learned from infancy, where they just probably realized that they cried long enough they would get whatever they wanted. So this is not necessarily a conscious thing, but it is something that happens, right? Now here's the problem. For most of their life, from the time they were infants, this method worked. But of course, with a Vora method tutor, it's not going to work. It would seem that it would work because you're dealing with one person, and you're going to spend 4 hours wearing somebody down has always in your entire life gotten you the answer that you wanted, or whatever pacifier, lollipop, or candy that you wanted. And now it's not working. Now here's the problem with that. Now the student doesn't have the answer, and now has also lost 3 or 4 hours that they could have been using towards actually learning the material. So now they're answerless and few hours behind, and they're feeling frustrated. So now what's going to happen is this. Nobody wants to be alone in their emotions. So the student is going to want to, at some conscious or subconscious level, have the tutor feel the same emotions that they're feeling. If they're feeling frustrated, they're going to want the tutor to feel frustrated. And not to say that the tutor is necessarily going to feel frustrated, but now the student's burning up energy trying to make the tutor feel frustrated, either by expressing the emotion of frustration, and emotions tend to be sort of contagious, or by trying to do things that in the student's mind will frustrate the tutor. And that's even worse, because now the student is intentionally kind of burning up his own time, right? And even if you as a tutor stay calm and pleasant and supportive and all that, it can still lead to essentially this sort of implosion, especially if you're dealing with any kind of a time pressure. Group classes don't have that problem, because with group classes we just simply don't have that flexibility, right? We don't have a way to give students a bunch of answers, and that is, of course, by design. I mean, we've built this program so that particular approach to education is actually physically impossible inside of the group classes. So we've been doing a lot of things in tutoring that have already shown a decent amount of promise, and I think as we improve them, are going to continue to do that. The biggest one of those has been having students work with multiple tutors. There's 2 reasons that this works. First, it gives the student more options of time and whatnot. It's logistically more convenient for the tutor, and if the tutor is not available at a particular time, they don't have to worry about, oh my God, what's going to happen to my student? Is he going to be okay? They know that the student's going to be working with another highly skilled Vora method tutor. So it gets rid of any feelings of guilt or pressure or anything like that as well. But it actually has a much more important additional advantage, and this is an advantage for the student, which is now the student psychologically doesn't really have the even the option of trying to wear a person down, because while unconsciously might think maybe I can wear one person down to give me the answer, it's unlikely that you seriously think that you could single-handedly wear down 4 people to get them to give you an answer. And so recognizing that as being an absurd plan, the student's mind, unconscious mind or whatever, is, or at least some of our early experience in the theory goes, going to spend more of its resources on learning the material and getting it done. Now here's the thing. Students tend to psychologically overestimate the amount of time it will take to learn the material. So if, let's say with dedicated focus, they could learn it in an hour, they might think it'll take them 35 hours, and thus they'll think it's worthwhile to spend 5 hours wearing somebody down. But it would only take an hour. So it's actually saving the student time. It's saving the parents money. It's improving the student's education. It's a win-win-win-win-win-win-win situation. So now if you guys want to be part of this, there are a few things that you need to do. One, you have to get the right level of experience. Before you do any tutoring, you need to have a decent amount of experience as a lead instructor. And obviously that means you need to do all the lead instructor things. You have to be used to dealing with parents, responding to emails, all that kind of stuff. You have to have completed the training for math and reading and all that. Obviously your equipment has to be working, because if you're in group class and your camera goes out for a second, it's not the end of the world. With tutoring, we are offering a high-priced premium service, and we're explaining to people why doing this online works better than doing this in the way they're accustomed to having somebody come to their house to work in person. So we're saying that this thing that seems like it wouldn't be as good is actually better, and I do believe online tutoring is actually much more effective than in-person tutoring. If we're explaining that, it's absolutely essential that your cameras are like high definition, that your connection doesn't have a bunch of issues with it. Ideally, I have three computers that are connected to Ethernet that I can use for tutoring. If you have a Mac, by the way, and you don't know how to connect your Mac to Ethernet, just let me know. I'll tell you how to do it. You basically there's a Thunderbolt to Ethernet converter. Any Mac has more than enough power to do this. You just need to set it up right. And if you don't know how to do it, no big deal. So anyway, the advantage is, of course, for tutors, you're going to be able to set your schedule much more than most tutors can, right? The reason that people often burn out in tutoring is because, you have students who are like so desperate and so urgent. They're like, oh my God, I really need a thing now. And I remember working till 2, 3, 4 in the morning, and I got, to put it mildly, a little bit burnt out, and I ended up reducing my times by quite a bit. But in this situation, because we're kind of combining elements that you would use in the medical practice with elements that you use in the legal practice, we're more able to have different times when we're sort of on call, and thus students can handle any kind of an emergency without it being a massive personal strain for any individual tutor. In terms of how, by the way, what we've borrowed from from both the medical and legal side is the idea of expertise. While I do think we all need to know how to be able to teach math and reading, not every single one of us is going to be willing to do certain things. So a simple example, if a student wants a big complicated calendar set up, I maybe could do it, but I don't want to. And Chelsea's so good at it, so I just have people contact her to deal with that. Chelsea doesn't necessarily like to work with people last minute. I do. For the most part, I think it's kind of fun. So she can shift that to me. It's not that she can't. It's not that, teaching calculus last minute is so much different academically than teaching it in the first minute. It's just what you prefer to do. Some of you, like me, prefer to work at night. Fantastic. There's always demand. Trust me on this. There's always demand for people who like to work at night. And some of you, like Chelsea, like to work in the morning. And guess what? There's always demand for that too. So now if somebody asks me, do you have any sessions at some ungodly hour like 11 a.m., I don't have to say no. I can say yes. Work with Chelsea. She can do all the things that I can do, some of them better. So anyway, this is going to be the first of several videos in which we'll be discussing the new tutoring approach, how to make sure that our tutoring is as much better than tutoring out there as our group classes are better than tutoring out there. And you guys know what to do if you want to be part of that. You can contact Chelsea for logistical and payment information, all that kind of stuff.